Go. What's up, guys? Welcome back to this episode of Down the Pike. I got my guy Jake the Snake. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Oh, I'm feeling great this morning, man. Fresh back home from vacation in Colorado, man. It was a lot of fun. And unfortunately, like most things, you're back to reality and you're back to the desert heat again. But it was nice to take some good time off.
I have family I have family in Colorado. It's beautiful up there. It is. It really is.
Hmm.
But man, that was that's been an eventful couple of days since you've been gone when it comes to sports news.
Oh, dear Lord. And I had my phone close to me, and every time it was popping up story after story after
So,
story, and it's like, but you know what though? It's fascinating because of just how much content we can put out there because of the amount of stories that are thrown all at once, man. So,
100%.
yep.
100%. So let's start off with some football, Jake. We'll start with your Chargers.
Hmm.
Um, first of all, first impressions from two games. How you think they look?
Right now, I mean, the defense looks immaculate. I mean, the fact that Khalil Mack, whoever said that Khalil Mack is absolutely washed up, is an absolute just liar because of the fact that he looks better. I think he really does fit this scheme that Ronaldo Hill has put together. Um, Plus, two, Kyle Van Noy, former Patriot. We've been seeing him play really well in the linebacking core, and I think helping out, contributing to any way that he can. I think an underrated player, too, that nobody talks a lot about is Bryce Callahan. I mean, the fact that he comes in on a 1 year deal out of Denver, and he's a strong lockdown corner. So I was very impressed with the Chargers. One thing that I could say offensively than defensively is this offense in the last 2 weeks, they have been scoring the same amount of points, 24. My thing about this is you've got a quarterback that knows how to let it rip. Stop playing conservative ball because over time, like like I get it. You've got guys that you want to keep healthy. Keenan Allen had been hurt from week 2. You also got, a couple of different wide receiver options as well. And it's like, you got to open this playbook up for Justin Herbert. That's mostly what he was meant to do. I mean, we watched spurts of it from last year and even the year before. And I don't understand why sometimes that their offense, they continuously play conservative ball in some areas. But I mean, right now, you look at the top scoring offenses right now. And Detroit is third on that list with 74 points that they put together in just 2 weeks. And then you also look at the Philadelphia Eagles and several other teams that have been putting up massive amount of points. That's because you got to think of the offensive coordinator that they have. You got to think about just the playbook itself and how much that they're opening up. I've been impressed with the defense, but they got the Jaguars this week. And I know a lot of people are
How
kind of
about that team
skeptical.
lately,
Yeah,
huh? The
they've been
Jags look
better.
like a
They
different
have
team.
been better. Yeah. And because Doug Peterson now as a head coach, this is a much better, and I've said this over and over again, that year 2 will be the year for Trevor Lawrence, where he will be much better. He will have if you've actually seen his ball release since he's been in the pocket, it's fast. It's faster now since Doug Peterson's been there.
Well, don't forget Peterson is a quarterback's guy. He's
Mm-hmm.
a quarterback, he's a quarterback's guy. Like that's kind of what his like little niche is that he's good with the quarterbacks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he
So
knows
it's
how
no
to work with
surprise to
them.
me that Lawrence has been improving. And let's be honest, he's better than Doug Marrone. He's better than the previous, he's better than what they've probably the last 3 or 4 coaches they've had.
Mm-hmm.
It's he's they should be okay this year. The
Yeah.
Jags should look much improved.
Yeah, and the funny thing is because you're in a division in the AFC South where it's completely lopsided. I mean, the Colts look absolutely horrible. And the Titans, they're kind of holding the strings together right now because of the fact that they really are feeling the loss of AJ Brown. but they're trying all that they can with this offense to get it going. And then as far as the Texans goes, the Texans are just kind of their like in college football, they're kind of playing a little bit of that spoiler effect in like when you have a team in the conference. That's kind of how the Texans are really playing this year. But they've got some good guys that got heart, hustle, and that they're able to play 110%. But I mean, the Jags, they could possibly, do something about this division.
No, that's they're a team. The Jaguars do look much improved, and this, I think they're gonna give the Chargers everything they got. That's the big difference. The Jags that we're watching now, they don't just roll over and give up. You know what I mean? Like they fight. Like they look like they're last year. You could just tell that they would just throw in the towel. You know what I mean? At times they would just throw in the towel.
Well, and you got to think too, because it clearly showed Urban Meyer was not a good transition from college level to the NFL level. Like
No.
it just clearly showed that this was just a complete circus show in Jacksonville, and that's where I think Shad Khan really had to like fix up a lot of these mistakes, and I think he has the second he found Doug Peterson.
Yeah, no. Well, dude, when you have the coach is a huge part of how you're going to run an organization, a team. Like Peterson is he won't put up with the stuff that Meyer did. Like he won't put up with the stuff that Meyer did, and he knows how to get guys to play together. Look at what a Doug Peterson led Philadelphia Eagles did to the Patriots. Those guys played for that guy. They played for him, and they play hard every game, every down. It's a huge thing. If you don't have a coach that can do that, you're in a lot of trouble, man.
Yeah, you're kind of in this hole that, a lot of teams they don't want to be in. And so, but I think this is a much better improved group. Now, again, I do think Christian Kirk may be overpaid as much, but at least Trevor Lawrence has an offensive target that he could throw to, can rely on in some spurts. An underrated player too that I like is Zay Jones. I think there are times where when he gets open and when he even at times when he gets contested, Zay Jones can make some plays. We've seen those spurts with the Raiders, and we've seen spurts back then with Buffalo. And I think with how this offense is really going to shape up with Jacksonville, this may not be the entirely complete offense just yet. I think this is kind of just the starter to getting Trevor Lawrence a much higher productive level than he's been in since last year. I also do think, too, the offensive line, man, looks a lot better. You could see with Brandon Scherf, you could see with a lot of different pieces that they've got, and it's a much better improving offensive line. And I think that's meant for that to have Trevor Lawrence distribute the football better.
No, 100%. 100%. So the Chargers, let's talk a little bit about the matchup that you guys got coming up against the Jags. The Chargers have been up and down. So one thing that the consistency on D has been a big concern these last couple of seasons. And with the way the offense on the Jags is starting to shape up a little bit, that could be a little bit of a concern, going into this game. I think the defensive play has got to the Chargers have got to get more consistent play out of the back end of that defense. The line is fine, but the back end of it they got to be on it, or it's like Lawrence can run. He's got they have to play better. That would be my kind of thing, the weakness that they show now. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that when you look at the back end of that defense with the backfield and how it's shaped up, Bryce Callahan's been the one guy, like I mentioned, that he's been I think he was an underrated signing. I think he truthfully made a name for himself. But he's really plugged into this Chargers defense really, really fast. A lot of these guys have.
Mm.
By the way, Asante Samuel Jr. I told you the second that
Uh-huh.
he goes and he plays man coverage, he's going to get better week in and week out. And sure enough, if it hadn't been for that horrible, ridiculous call that was made, because there were two ridiculous calls, the one that basically they had under review, I don't know. I saw it as that was a securable ball. Like I saw it several times, and for that to be taken away, because of course everybody's got to bail out Kansas City. Everybody does. And so,
Oh, you're talking
but I,
about Nick, right? You're talking about
oh
his
yeah,
interception, right? Yeah, no, that was an interception. That was
yeah,
he
it was
caught
a
that
big
ball.
it was a big time interception, and for that to be taken away was just absolutely disrespectful. But to me, he has very much vastly improved, and I think part of that too is the the presence of Derwin James being there, where he's playing multiple different positions. He's either playing in as a Mike or he's playing in as one of those secondary zone coverage guys. I
Mhm.
think the other person that really needs to step up too, and I get it, um, he's been feeling uncomfortable with that ankle, is JC Jackson. He's got to start to step himself up. Now, I know it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of get that foot to heal up, but in some of those areas, you still got to be able to make those zone coverages as much as possible, because you got
Absolutely.
guys that can play man to man. But no, you're right. I mean, the defense itself, I do think that there needs to be a little bit more of a consistency up front, because I mean, you got Sebastian Joseph Day, you got Austin Johnson, you got several other options. So I think that they may look into something, possibly like, if this doesn't stay consistent, they might look to something toward the trade deadline or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. But I mean, the defense itself, it looks hard, it looks steady. I
Yeah.
mean, Khalil Mack and the rest of them, they're all coming up at him all at once. And but I just think for offense, and for everybody to know this too, Justin Herbert, Corey Linsley, Trey Pipkins, um, and several
The
others.
front seven has
They
been
are,
fine. That has been fine so far. I'm not worried
yeah,
about the front seven. It's just the back
yeah,
end of it. That's it.
yeah.
That's it.
And so all those guys I mentioned, because they were on the injury list, they are doing fine.
Hmm.
Okay, they are fine. They went into practice the last couple of days. Justin Herbert came back into practice and he felt like it was nothing on his rib cartilage. Like so, and from what I was told, and there was a short clip from Austin Eckler when he was playing Fortnite the other night. He literally told me, he literally told all of us that Justin Herbert's actually played through broken ribs in the past in Oregon. So
So
that
well,
kind of leads.
that's kind of a comforting thing to know that he's
Oh
done
yeah,
it before.
oh yeah. Now it is still something you want to monitor at the
Hmm.
same time, but I mean, you're talking about a 6'6", 230-pound quarterback who's like, he knows his body. I
Because
mean, that's
this was the next thing I was going to ask you is how serious is the rib injury? Is it, or can he go through it?
so what they said is that it was a fracture to the rib cartilage. So it's not a complete fracture to the bone, which is
Oh, okay.
lucky. Yeah,
See, I
because
was under the impression that he had cracked ribs, which is though
Mhm.
that's painful. That is not fun.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, think about it. Look at Drew Brees. I mean, Drew
Yeah.
Brees had to go through that. But luckily, the severity of the injury. Now, what I am
Well,
a
he
little
should be able to
concerned.
go through that, right? He should be able to play through that, right?
Oh yeah, and that's what they said. They when he came into practice and he started making a couple of practice throws and all the rest of it, it's like he doesn't feel anything. Like he's just fine.
So
He did
they'll probably put a big heavy set of rib pads on him and just say
probably.
have at it.
Mhm. Now, the only thing that does concern me, dude, which I'm like, but do you know where he kind of got a little of that procedure to kind of keeping the ribs intact and all the rest of it? It's the same trainer who literally punctured the lung of Tyrod Taylor.
Oh,
That makes me nervous, because I'm like, first of all, why is this dude still here? Because you do realize that he is getting sued by Tyrod Taylor for a $5 million settlement
yeah,
because of the fact of you did the same similar procedure when it came to his ribs and you punctured his lung.
yeah.
Like, I would have fired him right off the spot,
Right on the
because
spot. Yeah, you get to go home, bud, for good.
yeah, exactly. And now again, I mean, it's like, yeah, it opened the ascension for Justin Herbert, but still, I want my guys to be taken care of properly. I don't want this stuff where he thinks he knows what he's doing and then all of a sudden he makes a mistake. I know people make mistakes all the time, but this is health. Like, this is not something you literally play with fire on. So, but every one of them, Corey Linsley, Trey Pipkins, and a couple of them that I named off because they were injured, they're doing fine. They did a couple of practice reps as well. So they'll be back this week. So, and then they said there is a slight possibility that Keenan Allen may be back this week too. So hopefully the Chargers will have their star wide receiver there. But again, it's still next man up. You still got to be able to get Josh Palmer and Mike Williams distributing the football. But here was the biggest thing, because the takeaway that I found from the game, two things went wrong. Number one, Brandon Staley screwed up as far as you needed to pull Gerald Everett out of that play. You needed to pull him out. He signaled up and said, "I'm gassed. I'm tired. I need to get rest."
I was watching it, and he was going like this to the sidelines, and they didn't. Yeah.
Now here's the second part. The second part is definitely on Gerald Everett, because here's the thing. You got to kind of have that mentality at times where you're in the trenches and you got to push yourself out of the trench. And when you're in that position, you got to kind of fight through it. Now, most coaches, they're either going to catch that or they're not. And most of it, it's 50-50. You blame it on the coach, you blame it on the player, whatever the case. But you had an easy, just walk right in. Yeah. Why are you turning the other way? So it's like Justin is throwing, like, he's the best distributor of the football we see in this league. He's going to put it in that position. All you have to do is just lean right into the goal line, and that would have been the difference maker for the Chargers.
He tried to, the weirdest thing is he tried to like back his way in. Like, you're a big enough dude, just turn the football, turn and lower your shoulder, and you fall forward in, you know?
Right, exactly. Like, I remember playing as a wide receiver, that's what we had to do. You had to literally lean in and just wall yourself in.
The weird thing is he tried to like back his way in, and it stopped all of his forward momentum. That's the thing. Like, just catch the football, turn and just fall forward, lean forward, and your momentum takes you into the end zone.
Like, I'll give you a perfect example. When we watch sideline catches, you don't see them putting their back against the sideline. They always had their tiptoes against the sideline. You're falling forward. You've never seen anybody fall backwards when it comes to the sideline.
No.
But yeah, it's crazy, dude. But yeah, I do think, though, this offense really does need to get better. And I've told you before, Bobby, that I was skeptical when they hired Joe Lombardi. I was, because I think we all
were. It was definitely, we were all pretty it was like, looking at it as pretty questionable.
Because think about it, we were coming off of an offensive coordinator in Shane Steichen who had the top 10 best offenses, and then you bring in somebody who literally was ranked 24th with New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And I honestly think too, because we know that Brandon Staley, he's got to get this team to the playoffs. But if there's a spurt that this offense is continuously conservative and the rest of it, I think, honestly, you need to change offensive coordinators, because this is only Joe Lombardi's last push from this. But yeah, because you can't accept this. I mean, you have Justin Herbert who could throw and distribute from 20 plus yards. Let it rip. I mean, we just watched Lamar Jackson let it rip. We watched Tua last week let it rip. We even watched, every time Patrick Mahomes, even though that these were short passes, but he lets it rip, and even Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, come on, you got to let the offense cook.
One thing, all these young quarterbacks, the new breed of these quarterbacks coming up, especially with like Pat Mahomes, Herbert, and Josh Allen are the three that like are really in focus. They got short memories. They throw a pick, they go back to the sidelines, they talk it over with the offensive coordinator, and then they get right back on the sideline, and they're they get right back onto the field the next series, and they're throwing darts again. Short
Oh
memory.
yeah. And
You
these
gotta,
are
and
these are
that's something
unscripted.
that's something that you can't teach either. Like you got to have that mentality where it's like, all right, that was a bad mistake. I'm gonna learn from it, and we're just gonna push forward. And like I said, Mahomes, Allen, and Herbert do it. They do it well. They throw the pick, and they talk it over on the sidelines, and then what do? They're right back on the field the next time, and they're still throwing darts. They're not afraid. There's no fear. There's no fear to try and feed it into a tight window if you have to. There's just no fear, and
Yeah,
that's the new with the way these kids are playing now, and the way the offenses are designed, and the way that the way the league is moved. Like this is how you have. Even like another one, Mac, a pocket, like those guys are all Herbert's like. Mac Jones, a pocket guy, not afraid to he'll throw a pick, get on the sideline, talk it over with, Judge and Patricia, and they're right back out there, and he's throwing into tight windows again. The next series, like these young kids now have to realize you can't have any fear about letting it rip. You got to just get out there and let it rip.
And that's what's funny is because most of these plays, they're unscripted. Because if you think about it, even after when we've seen the play several times, after Justin Herbert had that injury up onto his ribs, what did he end up doing? He threw a complete missile down the field where it got him closer into the goal line. And he's a leveled competitor. Like he's high leveled. And that's why I'm like, he'll string through any kind of pain, and he'll literally just let that thing rip. That's why I'm like, you got to let him play to his strengths. Because if you don't and you continuously hold back, your offense is not going to flow through.
And and like the quarterbacks are the generals of the field. They're the generals of they are the general on the field on the offensive side. You gotta command your troops, man. You gotta show poise and show that you can handle pressure. You have to show that you have the poise and the ability to handle the pressure. So let's keep it rolling here with the Chargers and Jags. Jake, I'm going to give you my 2 X factors for this game, and I want to hear yours. So on defense, for the Jags, for the Jags and Chargers, here's the X factor for me. The defensive lines on both sides for the Chargers and the Jaguars, and the quarterback play. Those are the two. So whichever defensive line and whichever quarterback plays better, I think is going to win this game. You have to win in the trenches, and your quarterback. This is going to be one of those games where you got to be smart with the football, because I think the Jags are underrated. I think they're starting to build that thing back up. And let's not forget, when the Jags were good on D, they were really good on. You know what I mean? That defense was once really good, and you know what? They're making their way back to it slowly but surely. They're making their way back to it. It's and if they so those are my 2. The defensive lines and the quarterbacks are going to be the X factors in this game. Whoever wins on the defensive front, up front, the trench battle, and whoever's quarterback is smarter with the football. But that's what I got. I want to hear yours.
Yeah, it's I agree with you up on that, because of the fact of, you look at the Jags, they got Caleb on Chase on, and they also got Josh Allen as well as their pass rusher. But I do think the defensive factor is going to be a big thing. I think, to me personally, offensive lines, because first of all, you're looking at the Jags, that they upgraded their offensive line for Trevor Lawrence to really have a time to throw in the pocket and to distribute the football. But here's the other part too. You can't forget about a guy like Travis Etienne. I mean, he's a guy that last year he was sidelined in his rookie year. He looks a lot better. And I watched him, and I watched his brother in Florida. And both these guys are
Etienne is running with a purpose this year. Like, you could tell there's something, there's a little extra, driving him this year. Etienne does look and you know what the thing is too? He looks healthy. He looks healthy. He looks like he's running with power, which is, people forget how good he was in college. He was very good.
Like, this is what I've said. I've said he's the up and coming Alvin Kamara out of college, because if you watch a lot of his workouts, he is never skipping a leg day. Like, the dude's freaking thighs are massive, and he's just like, but it's because you got to push. I mean, the funny thing of it is the Jags shouldn't even be surprised at it because they had Leonard Fournette at one point. And so by that, yeah, I think the offensive lines on both ends, you're going to see the differences between the two because if you got the Chargers who got a lot of time in the pocket for Justin Herbert to distribute it, then that means the offensive line is literally shutting down a lot of different pieces. I mean, Rashawn Slater's been looking fantastic as he usually is. And by the way, the rookie Zion Johnson has been holding his ground. I've seen a lot of spurts on him, and I'm really excited about that draft pick because he really has meshed with this offensive line.
He's surprisingly quick for a guy his size. Like the footwork,
yeah, he is.
He's surprisingly quick for a guy his size.
Mm-hmm. And the funny thing of it is because then they get another offensive lineman from Georgia, Jamari Salyer, who is also another guy that could literally be a shutdown type offensive lineman. So to me, I think they've got all those offensive line pieces, but that is going to be the difference maker in this game. And I think also, too, I do expect one player to really start to shine. And I think to me, it's probably going to end up being I think it's going to end up being DeAndre Carter in this game because we've seen a bunch of times. I think he's meshed in. He's become more than just the kick and punt returner, to be honest. Yeah. He's literally started showing up. He's got more catches than a lot of these guys right now on this roster have. And he's also been playing really well with yards after the catch. So I think DeAndre Carter will be.
The yak is huge too. That's such a for him. That's that. And here's the thing too: when you get a coach like Peter, when you get an actual head coach like Peterson is, you can he knows how to put guys in positions to do things well. And Urban Meyer would have never Peterson knows how to find niches for guys that are good at certain things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing of it is because, you take week 1, for example, of basically how Jacksonville played against Washington and the fact that Carson Wentz, he's used to him and he knows his strengths. But again, you look at how Carson plays, and that's just kind of how he was built up when he was in Philadelphia, especially when he had Frank Reich there. So, but yeah, I think the Chargers, though, when they ended up getting, and this is funny, he's an underrated player coming out of Washington, DeAndre Carter, where he's literally everything that the Chargers want. He's a great offensive player. He's a really good special teams guy. And I think that's what the Chargers have been looking for, that battery that they needed. So I expect him to be an X factor up into this game as well. So offensive lines, and then definitely DeAndre Carter for the Chargers.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So let's move it over to let's head back down the pike, and we are going east. So the water headed towards New England. The Pats have a big, this is a big game. This is a measuring stick game. The Ravens are a good team. They are a good team. They are good on D. They're good on offense. Lamar is dangerous. They're a good team. This is a measuring stick game. They beat the Ravens, and this is at home. This is a statement game. This is a big game for them. They need this win. They need this win too, especially with how things have been going. It'll shut a lot of people up. It'll shut a lot of people up because everybody's they're all down on the Patriots, and you know how it goes. You know how it goes there. I will, however, say this. I'm going to say a couple of things, and then I'm going to get your thoughts on them too. The talent gap is gone. Miami is good. Miami has built that. It's taken Buffalo and Miami years to build back up. The talent gap that the Pats have is gone. Gone. It's gone. No more. No, that massive gap that was separating us from the rest of the division no longer exists. Miami's got a really good team, and they did a lot of upgrading this season too. Buffalo the last 2 years, really good team. That is gone. We can't, as Patriot fans, we can't rely on that anymore. It's because those teams have caught up, right?
Yeah, so, I agree. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It took years. Yeah, it took years because And at the same time, you watch how, the Dolphins, they shifted from Brian Flores now to Mike McDaniel. And this offense now, because of how fast and how speedy that it is, I can't wait to see when Tua and Justin Herbert, they both match up, because
And
I like to
yeah,
see
yeah.
how both those offenses really do work. Because this Miami offense, like, yes, Tua throws 6 touchdowns. Apparently Cowherd's not that impressed, but to me, I'm like, look at all the offensive pieces around you. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle, you got
Tyreek Hill too. So
yeah.
Tyreek Hill was a massive get for them because guess what? Now Jalen Waddle is matched up against a CB2. That's bro. That Waddle's going to eat this year. Waddle is going to eat this year.
And you've got an X factor in Cedric Wilson.
You're telling me a CB2 has to cover Jalen Waddle? Good luck. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. And not for nothing, too.
Not only that, Miami upgraded their offensive line, too.
They did. And you know what, though?
Line in front of Tua. So here's the thing, right? Tua doesn't have to be spectacular. He doesn't have to throw 6 touchdowns every game for Miami to win. And don't forget, they got a good running back now, too.
Yeah, they got a really good running back committee. And the other part of it is, too,
all Tua has to do is manage it. As long as he doesn't do anything stupid with the football and just play and just manage the game, Miami's going to win games.
And I think that's how Mike McDaniel's playing this whole thing, is because they know that Tua is a guy that doesn't want to make mistakes. He's not a guy that likes to at times, he doesn't like to be off script. He likes to be someone that really does study, manage this playbook, and make it better. But he definitely utilizes his strength. And here's another thing, too, and not to take away, but even the Jets got some talent. Garrett Wilson last week was really good.
Even they got that. And here's the thing, too. Sometimes the Jets are an interesting one. They're probably the most interesting out of all of them because Saleh in his second year looks like that team is – sometimes these new head coaches, Jake, they need a few years to get their team on the page that they want them to be at and draft and do – there's a lot involved with being a head coach in the NFL, and sometimes
it is.
It takes a couple of years to kind of build it the way you want to build it. The Jets, dude, they're playing for Saleh.
And here you go, Saleh. I got your receipt, buddy. I got your receipt for all the damn haters that are up over there. But,
you know what I mean?
But to clarify, too, I mean, Zach Wilson is the future. Joe Flacco, for what he's doing right now, you've got the experience up at a quarterback. Like, between him, Gardner Minshew, and at times, I think oh, God, I'm spacing out and thinking of even sometimes when you had Josh McCown. Those quality backup quarterbacks right there, they're doing what they can because they're feeling the flow of the offense. They know how this team works. But this is meant for Zach Wilson to be the future of this franchise. And we'll see when he comes back, because it's possibly week 4 he'll be back. But I'd like to see how this offense really flows. But I like what I saw from Garrett Wilson. I think Corey Davis is also looking healthier. I want to see more out of Elijah Moore. I mean, I haven't seen any of that in the last 2 weeks.
He's been the only one that's been kind of slow. But
then you've got Denzel Mims.
But I do think the potential is there. I do think it is there.
Yeah, and that's where the Patriots, looking at all the talent all around them in the division.
It's tough. It's tough, man.
And the only person who's literally contributing is Jacoby Myers. They got nobody else that's up and around there that's making those plays.
I will. So I'm going to say, like, Bill, it wouldn't surprise. So I'm going to make a bold prediction, and this is for the draft next year.
Yeah.
Bill's not going to go skilled position. You know what he's going to do? He's going to go offensive line. He's going to grab
of course.
He'll grab a tackle. Because guess what? You got to, if Mac doesn't have time in the pocket and the offensive line is 50-50 at best this year, But the talent gap's gone. So the Patriots need to pile wins as much and as many as humanly possible, because the schedule this year for us is brutal. So we have Baltimore at home. That's a tough, like I said, that team is good. Baltimore is still very good. They're still a really talented team. And for years, they've played us. They have no fear of us. They have no. They have no. That's what. So as much as I hated the Ravens in the early 2000s, right? I respected them. I respected them at the. It was a healthy hate. You know what I mean?
Do you
Because it was like
remember? Do you
because
remember the
because
bullshit game?
Harbaugh had that team. Harbaugh brought that team into Gillette, and they had no fear. They had
Oh
no
yeah.
fear. They took that. They did not believe in the Patriot and the Gillette mystique. They those are the teams that I have respect. The ones that can look the Pats in the eye and be like, "You ain't shit. We got you." You know what I mean? And that's how you know it's going to be a good game. When the other team looks across and Harbaugh has the team looking across and being like, "We can beat these dudes. We don't care who you are." Those are the teams that you got to respect. That don't let the mystique and all this other stuff get to them. You know what I mean?
Do you remember the bullshit game between the Ravens and the Patriots? I mean, that one was nuts because I think that game was in Baltimore. And there were penalties that were flying left and right against the Ravens. And all you could hear in the background of the fans was they were just screaming bullshit
Yeah.
every time. And I'm like, I love it because of the fact of it's Tom Brady, it's the damn Patriots, and it's like the Ravens, like, yeah, they got pissed.
They are an underrated rival of ours. The
They
Pats
are.
and Ravens have had some epic games. Like they're an underrated rival.
Oh yeah, JD, I do. I do at times. I just haven't played Call of Duty in a while.
So I want to get what do you think of this game first, Jake? What do you think of the Pats and Ravens matchup?
Well, I can officially say that Lamar Jackson can clearly throw.
Yeah.
Because with
anybody who's doubted his throwing ability, he can throw. He can throw.
That's a great throw from a running back, like a running quarterback. So, no, I do think that this offense for the Baltimore Ravens, it is looking like it's promising. I think Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay, they're some really good young wide receivers that are really working well with this offense. I think what's crazy is because I mean, you know how Greg Roman always has been as an offensive coordinator. He was a guy that just wanted to run, run, run. Didn't want to end up dealing with anything else. But when you see how this offensive coordinator now, how he sets Lamar Jackson, he's throwing more. So at this point, you are seeing Lamar working hard as being a throwing type quarterback. But for God's sakes, can the Ravens pay this man for real? Because if they don't and he slips up and he's gone, that's going to be the biggest mistake that the Ravens have. Because then they have to look at another quarterback. And I know that Tyler Huntley, he's decent, but I don't think he's really that special quarterback that Lamar is. But I do think the offense, because of how it's set, and you still got Mark Andrews as your reliable tight end. The offensive line, I think at times it's kind of here and there. It does need a little bit of fixing up to do.
Yeah.
But I like what I'm seeing with Lamar Jackson, and I think that's going to be a handful.
Let's be honest. For a running quarterback, 59%, 59, 60%, that's pretty much what you're going to get for a run first quarterback like Lamar. Yeah. You're gonna get 59, 60, 61%. That's what you're gonna get out of those guys.
Oh yeah.
But if you can get that consistently, that's all you need. That's what you need. That's who they are. They're gonna throw. They're not these 64, 66, 67% guys. They're not that. They're not gonna throw 35 times a game. They're just not gonna do that. They're gonna throw 23.
I think the only rarity that we've ever had in league history was Michael Vick. That's really the only one.
You get what I'm saying? They're not going to throw the ball 36 times a game, 34 times a game, like these guys, like guys like Mac Jones, like guys, like the guys like Mac Jones, like Herbert. Like they're not gonna throw the football as many, that many times. They're gonna utilize their greatest weapon. And what's that? Their athletic ability and their legs. Yeah. Justin Fields, the same way. Fields, you'll get 60, 61% out of him,
Well, and it's kind of sad because of the fact of
his legs his legs and his ability to see the field and run are a weapon. It's
what is unfortunate though is because he's dealing with a crappy offensive line that he literally has to run for his life every time. And it's like I'd like to see how Justin Fields really throws in the pocket, but unfortunately, he's got no pocket to work with, so that's why he has to run.
I was gonna when JD comes up the next show that JD when I have JD on, we're gonna talk about that too, because if Fields had an offensive line, it'd be dangerous.
Oh yeah,
he'd be dangerous because guess what? Fields can throw. That dude can throw 64, 66% accuracy. He can every day.
Yeah, I agree.
So I want to get your thoughts, Jake. I'm going to ask you another question. I'm going to I'm going to give you mine, and then I'm going to ask you too. So, the offensive woes for the Pats, but and there is offensive woes. They've gotten by on the coaching and the Bills' ability to keep games close and the defense, right? Now, when they start playing some of these better teams, like the Ravens, they're going to have to put 30 points up against that team to win that game. They're going to have to. And if they don't, they're going to be in trouble. So I want to know that. So the offensive situation with the Pats is a strange one because in the offseason, there was no offense. So Josh McDaniels runs. It's a known fact. He ran one of the most complex offenses when it comes to calls on the field and reading a defense. And so not only relaying the calls from QB to receiver, but it's QB to David, the center, everybody communicates on the offense. It's QB to center, QB to receivers, the center to the rest of the offensive line, right? There's a lot of communication on the field before the ball snapped.
Yeah.
Now, without an offensive coordinator, without one guy coordinating all that, and they're trying to do it with two, it just makes things 5 times as hard and as complicated than it needs to. But so where's the blame go? Is it communication? Is it Judge and Patricia? Is it Mac Jones? Do we look at Mac Jones and be like, it's him? Like, in your opinion, where does it go?
I honestly will never blame Mac Jones on that because I felt bad for Mac Jones because of the fact of you're coming off of a season last year where you had an offensive coordinator and he was able to distribute the football any way that he could. And they were scoring at least 20 plus points a game. They were doing that. And now they've taken a very slight step back. And all of a sudden, it's just kind of like you're expecting Mac Jones every time to be off scripted and all the rest of it. He can't do that. He's too smart of a head coach or of a quarterback to do that. He's too smart for that. So you got to give him a fluent playbook. You got to give him a fluent game flow in order for him to open that offense up. Like I said, lucky he has Jacoby Myers because he needs somebody that could at the very least catch those throws and could give them yards after catch. But yeah, I agree with you. This offense has just, I don't know what it's doing, man. But I'm telling you now, in parts of it, and I do agree with one team that's kind of like this, the Cleveland Browns. They're expecting their defense to literally bail them out of every game. That's where
the D has to carry.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's the difference maker for the Patriots is because they're going to expect very highly of this defense to literally carry them and Mac Jones to just be the guy to just distribute the football to the right guys. Just do that every time that you can. But it's so hard when you're doing that as a defensive coordinator, as an OC. I don't get it, man. And it's just like if you had somebody who is smart enough to read this playbook, like if you had Steve Sarkisian, or if you had at least a couple of these offensive coordinators that you could bring in to learn from Bill, then that would have been a different story. But this is, you're expecting the defense.
So here's what I think happened. Here's what I think happened. And I want to get what you think. So here's what Josh McDaniels sees the opportunity to be the head coach of this gig. Don't get it twisted. This gig with the Raiders is his last chance to be a head coach. If this doesn't go well, he had one chance in Denver. So his chance in Denver happened to him way too young. He was way too young, way too inexperienced. Like just it hurt his reputation because
He
everybody's
was over his
back in
skis, and then he
Denver
had to
like,
work with Tim Tebow.
but everybody's going to look at that and be like, well, look at it. At his first head coaching gig, look what happened. It was, and even he says it in interviews. It happened to me way too young. I bit off way more than I could chew. Right.
Yep.
So this is his last gig at it with them. So what I think happened is, let's say so Jones had McDaniels in that complex offense to go on the sidelines, talk to, and they would talk and you would see him. They communicate with him. He would communicate with him back and forth, and they would go over stuff. And so when he left, Bill and the Pats were kind of sitting there like, oh shit, like we have one of the most complex offenses put in place here, and nobody to run it now.
Yeah.
So I think what happened is they're trying to simplify it for him. So they were like, okay, well, we'll kind of take what you did in Alabama, that style of offense, that pro style offense in Alabama, and we'll try and integrate and mesh that into the system. Well, when you don't the Alabama offense, Jake, it's a spread offense. They spread the field out and let Mac kind of make the decisions that he wanted to make. Whoever was open, he would just distribute the football that way. The Patriots haven't been, as long as I've been watching them, and I've been watching them since I was like friggin' knee high. A lot of their formations have been in tight. They don't spread out much. You know what I mean? They keep everything in tight.
Oh, yeah.
Now, so you're trying to implement an entire new system of play calling on the field, the communication, and you're doing it without an offensive coordinator. If you have two offensive coordinators, you don't have an offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I don't like about this situation. But here's the thing. Bill was put in a pickle. Who's he going to go out and get? There was nobody out there to get. No one.
Yeah.
Unless he tried. And he's not going to. Here's the thing. Listen here, Pats fans. Listen here, people. He is not gonna dynamite that bridge that he had, that basically Patriots South bridge that he has in Alabama with Nick Saban. He's best friends with him.
Right.
Don't get it twisted. He's not gonna dynamite that bridge and burn that bridge that he has with Alabama and Nick Saban and say, I'm taking your offensive coordinator, Nick. Sorry, but he's not going to do that. As much as we wanted him to, I wanted him to, I would have taken C4 to that bridge and dynamited that motherfucker to the ground and taken his quarterback, his quarterback and his offensive coordinator and said, I need him to win. But that's just me. But he's not going to do that because that's a huge connection that he has down there in Alabama. He got Christian Barmore from there. He got Damian Harris from there. Think of how good those guys are, instant playmakers on this team. They step foot on the football field and instantly make a difference. He's not going to burn that bridge. He would never do it. So he's trying to do all this new – he's trying to mesh a whole new offense without an offensive – it's going to take a month for this to look halfway decent. But if anybody can do this without an offensive coordinator, it's Bill. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's true, man. I mean, because the fact of the matter is that Bill Belichick, he's so highly respected in this league that nobody's ever going to question his judgment of character. He's not. Nobody is going to question that. So, I mean, you're absolutely right that this fact of this offensive coordinating scenario is just completely out of whack, and the fact that it's going to end up taking a month for this thing to finally cool and settle, like it's going to be really interesting. But again, like Mac Jones is such a smart quarterback. And here's what's funny too, and I'd like your thought on it. But apparently, from what I was told, San Francisco was very close to drafting Mac Jones because of the fact that Kyle Shanahan likes a guy who distributes the football.
So here's the thing, Shanahan. You're right. No, I don't mean to interrupt you. Shanahan wanted Mac Jones. Guess who didn't want Mac Jones and who wanted Trey Lance?
Oh, God.
Upper management. Yeah. They overruled him. Shanahan. Imagine Shanahan and Mac Jones together. That's fucking dangerous down there in San Francisco. That's
and he's got plenty of weapons to distribute too. And that's what I think what was really interesting about that. And I think Mac Jones, like I said, if you're going into an organization that's set, that has all the pieces and they're all in the right spots, that's what will make a difference maker. But yeah, it is crazy though. But I do think from where he's at, I mean, lucky for Mac Jones, he's got Bill Belichick. Because if he did this with any other coach, you probably would be seeing the worst of Mac Jones from there. You'd be saying, he's just an
100%.
average quarterback. He's probably going to be another Trubisky. He's probably going to end up being another, like, that's what you would see from Mac Jones. But because he's landed in an experienced organization with an experienced coach, that kind of gave him that pass. So I I don't know how this offense really because for what I'm seeing, this is the lowest scoring offense right now because they're having their defense play hard and they're bailing them out in certain situations. But I mean, if they could figure it out and they could literally try to win majority of games, because you can't really put the Patriots down in the water. You never can. They're always going to try to show up in several games when you least expect it. I mean, the only level of competition that they could possibly have is the Jets. But the Dolphins and the Bills, they're that talent gap is literally no longer there. But
it doesn't exist. The Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills definitely are the Bills are above them. They are.
Yeah.
And the Miami Dolphins are at their level right now. The gap is gone, Jake. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, what do the Patriots need to do to win this game against the Ravens?
I think the Patriots, they really got to be aggressive up on defense because you got to make that whole entire offense uncomfortable for Lamar Jackson. Like you got to push him to really try to navigate his way through down the field. And if he can't end up doing that, and the Patriots are putting on majority of pressure, I'd say the Patriots could have an edge in that game, possibly. But you got to make that pocket and you got to make that presence for Lamar Jackson so uncomfortable that he's just kind of getting pushed left and right. And that's even just covering a lot of his weapons. That's also to kind of having that guy that's just going to basically sit there and waiting to see what Lamar Jackson does, whether he runs or throws. The other part is I think that, because with the way the offense is set right now for New England's just like Mac Jones just really has to just distribute the football any way that he can, even if it doesn't look pretty or it's short. But at the very least, he's got to distribute it, even if it's like death of 1,000 cuts. That's the only way that you really kind of have to do it with the Patriots. But I do see those two factors. Defense has to play hard against Lamar Jackson, and also the offense can't afford any other mistakes. Otherwise, Baltimore's going to take advantage of it.
So 100%. So here's what I think the Pats are. The plan I think for the Patriots this weekend is going to be make Lamar into a pocket quarterback. Make him read the D. Yeah. Make him do things that he's not comfortable with. And what's he not comfortable with? Sitting in a pocket and having to read a defense all game long. Because I don't think he's good enough. He's good enough to do it for, maybe like. So, all right, I'm trying to think of how I want to word this. You can't have him sit in a pocket all game long and throw the football. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to miss guys. He's going to not see. He's going to throw two or three interceptions if he's a pocket quarterback. That's just who he is because he doesn't do it. He's not one of those types he doesn't have the football IQ to sit in a pocket all game and read a D. And that's what we need to make him do because that's when he's going to make mistakes. When he has to sit in a pocket and read a defense constantly, he's going to make mistakes.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and that's just going to force more time for him to end up throwing, and he's got no other options.
Yeah, because that's what what's Bill Belichick good at? Making other teams uncomfortable and making them do things that they don't like to do.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And he's normally been known for that, especially with young quarterbacks.
So I'm going to say the Patriots do win this game. It's going to be a close game, though. I'm going to say 27-20 Patriots.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I think if I look back on my bet lines, actually, I could pull this up over here. Yeah, there we go. I think on that one, oh yeah, I did take Baltimore on the -3 because I do think that is going to be a close game. I mean, 3 points, I'll take that. I'll take anything that I could possibly get with 3 points up in it because of how edged the game itself may be. Now, I did say 30 to 20, but I think because of the way that like the Patriots like to pressure up on defense, I'd probably say Baltimore could win this game, but of course it's going to be one of those defensive played games, small on offense. I'd probably go 23-20.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. It's going to be a close game. This is going to be a touchdown or less game. This is going to be a good game.
Mm-hmm.
So let's shift gears, Jake. Let's talk baseball for a second. Now, Albert Pujols. So let me just say this first. I love baseball. I've been a fan since I was 5 years old. You know, I like the sport of like baseball is. I love baseball. I love watching the game. Like it's just one of my sports, man. I love it. And the fact that it's just slowly, it's like a monster at the end of a horror movie, just slowly dying, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's one of those scenarios. But, and the MLB is not helping themselves. Why on earth are you not putting the Yankee games and why were you not putting the Yankee games and the Cardinal games every game for those two teams should be a nationally televised game because of the storylines? There's great storylines this year, and to me, baseball isn't taking advantage of any of them. Like,
Yeah.
the sport needs to, and every Cardinal game and every Yankee game should have been a nationally televised game because of the story. This league is hurting itself, and it's like, why you should not put any of these. I get they have to deal with Apple and the streaming services and all that, but it's like, no, go elsewhere with any other team. Those two teams with the storylines that are involved should be on national television every night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's slowly, that's the most disappointing part of it is I love baseball, and it's these two storylines could restore a lot of its former glory, and they're absolutely blowing it with that. They have an opportunity to gain a lot more fans back, and they're not, like, it's mind-boggling why they won't do this. But
Yeah.
what do you think?
I'm with you on that. And I've been a fan of baseball ever since I was a kid as well. And, I have a whole baseball background from my family. And the fact that, like, baseball to me has taught me life. It's taught me life on the diamond and what to expect when life throws curveballs at you. And
Yeah,
so for me, like, especially as long as the game possibly is. Like I've told people, I think the only thing that I would change up is maybe just the length of the amount of games a year, because nobody's going to sit back on a couch and watch 162 games a year. It's such a
no,
long season. We all know this, but every pitch and every inning matters. Like that has always been what baseball has been about. And so you're trying to take advantage of it of every step of the way. But I agree with you. I used to like it years ago when Fox Sports was the national televised station that went all the way around
yeah,
because you had Sunbelt, you had um, Fox Sports Ohio, you had Wisconsin, you had every kind of Fox Sports out there from every single region. I don't know why they don't go back to that, because then, like, this is how we had it in the West Coast. We would have Fox Sports West, which was big for the Angels. We had Fox Sports Prime Ticket, which was huge for the Dodgers. And
yeah.
that's how you were getting all of your televised games on cable on the West Coast. That's what was building your fan base.
And
And
don't
then
forget
you had,
CBS too. CBS had massive deals all over
yeah,
the country. CBS Boston, CBS LA,
yeah,
CBS CBS had massive coverage too, and they're
yeah,
just
even
they're ruining it. Like, it's almost like they're shooting themselves in the foot. It's
no,
like,
yeah, I agree. And that's why I'm like with these multiple streaming services, like it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Even Bally's. But here's what's funny is because somebody somebody had mentioned this to me a while back. That's saying that Bally's was going to end up taking over Fox, and I was kind of like, how? Like that because Fox is always going to have like their national televised games. They're always going to have at least like their big time radio station. But my God, like
Yeah.
Arku's even mentioning about it too because he's like he has the Bally's app and the app sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you see that though. It's like there's times where you kind of want to revert to old school cabling rather than doing this new school stuff because you can get away with it.
Let's be honest too. The baseball demo is our age and older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The baseball demo is our age and older. They don't want to fuck around with technology and have to download an app and do all this other bullshit to get a game that they want to watch. They just want to
exactly.
They just want to take a remote and click the remote and have it, and have it be on TV. I'm just saying the truth. Like the technology aspect of stuff, the demographic is not young anymore. It's 30 and up. You know, those are the guys that are going to watch the baseball games.
Oh yeah,
it's our demographic and older.
And this is the hardest part.
You don't want to mess with technology.
This is the hardest part too, because when you're putting it on different cable and streaming services, there's always an upcharge to it. And I think it's ridiculous because it's like you kind of are like saying to your fans, to be a part of the fan base club, you got to buy yourself into it. Why? Like, I thought the whole point of it is that like I had my team and I rep my team. I ain't got to buy to really be a part of the fan base. Like you're already part of that fan base.
I don't have to spend money to watch my team. I can just watch it.
Right, exactly. And it's like, and you get what you pay for it. And that's why I'm like, it is kind of ridiculous. But I think baseball in that aspect, when it comes to the cable television and all the rest of it, really does need a change because, I don't understand this with the Apple thing. Look, we're already 2 weeks in on Thursday Night Football being on Amazon. I do not know how that's going to really work out well because of the fact that it's another streaming service and people are trying to get, the football game and all the rest of it. And then you add Paramount Plus, really like this is getting way out of hand.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that these are all these other streaming platforms now. And it's like you have to pay certain subscriptions, you have to pay this, you have to pay that.
Nobody's going to want to do that.
And you wonder why Jeff Bezos is such a billionaire.
Like I get it. They have these deals with these, until these streaming services make it to where you can just what's up, cousin?
He's like, I have Amazon Prime, so I'm good.
But that's what I mean. Like these leagues are just like, especially baseball, they're blowing it, man. Like they're just with the multiple like storylines. These storylines are great.
Oh yeah,
Aaron Judge chasing the Yankee record. That is a great storyline. I hope he gets it. I really do. I hope he gets it. And you know what? I hope he comes close to Bonds and chases him down. I don't know if
we haven't seen anything like that since the 90s.
I don't know if he'll get 73, but you know what? I hope he gets close.
Oh yeah.
I hope he gets close. I hope he gets close, man. And I hope he hits that.
I think with the amount of games that we have,
he's going to get close.
He might try to get close to 66. Because I think if I remember correctly, wasn't that the amount that Griffey Jr. and Souza had at one point?
66. So I think 66 is what they ended with, and then Bonds had 73.
Yep.
But I don't think he's going to get 73. But here's the thing, man. These like it just disappoints me because the game could restore so much of its former glory. Like the East and West Coast for baseball hubs are massive.
Oh, they are massive.
And the league is just absolutely just just taking a torch to this and burning, they're burning their opportunity to the ground to regain, the storylines haven't been this good since the early 2000s.
Yeah. And here's what's the biggest thing though too, because you also deal with, small market teams. What I think is kind of interesting is that these small market teams, like, they have no competition. They have no competition with all these big time organizations like the Dodgers, like the Yankees, like the Red Sox, like the Cubs, like the Braves, and a lot of these other teams, even the Mets. I mean, the fact of like just the ownership and the location that they are in, like, who's really going to watch a Cincinnati Reds game? And who's going to really watch an Oakland A's game because of the fact that they're still up in Oakland? Like,
Yeah.
I've said it several times that this team needs to seriously move to Vegas. And it's like, because if you watch how the Raiders look right now, and that the fact that they're gifted a stadium, you
Well,
also got,
you know what, too? A lot Raider fans are fucking crazy.
they
They
are.
will travel across. They don't care how long of a flight or whatever the cost. That fan base is fucking crazy.
Oh yeah,
They'll
they
do
are
anything
devoted
to
to the
go
team.
watch They would travel 6,000 miles to go watch their team if they could. Like, that fan base is wild.
Oh yeah.
So and I will say this, I wish they never moved out of Oakland.
Yeah.
I wish they never moved out of Oakland. I wish that they stayed in Oakland. That fan base, listen, the black hole, the old black hole, old head Raider fans know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Cousin probably knows what I'm talking about. The original black hole, dude, come on. People used to go there and they used to be afraid of playing in that stadium.
Oh dear God.
Dude, the blackout, you wouldn't see a jersey of the other team. It was just black. It was just the whole stadium. You wouldn't see a jersey of the other team. You wouldn't wear a jersey of the other team because of how that was. You want to talk home field advantage? The Raiders had one of the best home field advantages in football history. That team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's without a doubt. There's no question about that. Well, RQ, the thing is like, yeah, the Cowboys fan base, but you have to think though, the Cowboys are the most expensive franchise. So, and you got to distribute all their gear nationwide because that's how Jerry Jones is. Like, so every single Walmart and every single store that you go to has always got Cowboy stuff because of the fact of it's a big money market franchise. But yeah, and that's where I'm like, yeah, with the Cowboys, I mean, they got plenty of room in Texas. So it's like you're going to have everybody that's all going to flee there from Texas and go and watch the Cowboys play. But still, like, it wouldn't come close to what the Raiders have.
So let's go back to baseball. Uncle Albert, Albert Pujols hit 700, which
yes, he did. Finally.
So
did I not say that I said that Albert Pujols was going to hit 700 before Aaron Judge even breaks that record?
So that's a huge accomplishment, dude. Like, let's be honest, right?
Oh yeah.
You got to be really good for a really long time. Mm-hmm. And that he hit that first home run, which was an absolute fucking moonshot. That first home run was launched. And I knew he was going to hit a second one. After he hit that, like, I had a feeling. I was like, he's going to hit another one tonight. Mm-hmm. And the guy is, he's not a Red Sox, but you got to respect the grind, and you got to respect the skill. The guy has been at an elite level for a lot of his career, if not the whole. Like, he's been hitting at an elite level for a very, very long time. Very long time.
No, I agree. And the funny thing of it is you go all the way back to when he hit his first home run in 2001. I mean, Albert Pujols was just something else. Like, he was just a guy that was bound for greatness. And what's funny about that is he was coming in at a time where he's next to Mark McGwire. And he first started as a left fielder, young kid out of the Dominican Republic that all he did was, when it came to batting practice, all he hit was beans. And that's how he was able to get the best plate discipline, hand-eye coordination, and so much. And watching Albert Pujols over the years, I mean, he's
Yeah.
been scary as all hell since he's been in the league, and a guy that we well respected for years and years and years. Several times too, like when you would watch him, like when like small ballparks, like let's say Minute Maid Park, when you would watch him against the Houston Astros, and how he just makes that ballpark look so small each time he just hit freaking a home run out of that ballpark. It's like the ball can't even contain it. Like the whole park can't even contain the home run. And but he and it's just it's crazy because all of that is all just lower body strength because he doesn't even have to move much. He's
No.
just basically just staying steady as long as he could. And a lot of us too, how all of us were really taught, like even for right-handers, you
Yeah.
just kind of see how much of that he stays steady and just lets all the lower body just explode. And that's how the
Well,
ball was able to travel so freaking far.
that's the thing too. Like not a lot of movement equals a hell of a lot of bat speed, and that's how he's hitting all these. He's always had that quick swing. It's
Yeah.
fast.
Oh yeah. It's super fast. And watching him over the years and him having two World Series titles from 2006 and in 2011. Um I mean he completely changed the way that the home run hitters were really looked at
Yeah,
because of the fact
100%.
because the fact of the matter is that he came in at a time just after when you had the home run race years ago in 98 because the biggest headliners was Ken Griffey Jr., Sammy Sosa, and Mark McGwire. If anybody's ever seen the documentary, I believe it's called Long Ball Summer.
Yeah.
Like if you watch that 98 documentary, that tells you a lot about just how massive television marketing ratings were when that was happening. Like everybody tuned in and they wanted to watch Mark McGwire break that record, which initially he did. He broke Roger Maris's record and then stood up at 70 home runs and then just kept on going. Sosa was right there up on that train. Eventually, Griffey kind of cooled down in Seattle, but he was still one of the most feared hitters in the league. And
yeah, 100%.
but then to see, and what's funny is that home run hitters in Albert Pujols' time, there's many of them I can name.
Yeah.
Jeff Bagwell, David Ortiz, A-Rod, and
Fuck A-Rod.
oh, but several of those guys. I mean, even Rafael Palmeiro. Like
only
there were several.
Only an idiot cheats on J-Lo.
Oh yeah, yeah, freaking A-Rod. But all those guys that I mentioned there as big time home run hitters, he was a part of that massive club because back then we all knew how it all started out. Jose Canseco and then Mark McGwire and then Rafael Palmeiro and several others that all started this big time home run trot. Like chicks just dig the long ball. But when it came to Albert, pure, smooth, fast, and just a guy that you imitated a lot of just his fast swing and just the fact that it comes off the bat so easily.
Yeah.
That he always looks at every single one of his home runs. But 2012 or 2011 really kind of marked that last tenure with St. Louis.
Yeah.
Knowing he spent all that time for 10 years.
I'm happy he hit his 700th as a Cardinal. I am.
So am I, because of the fact that it roots from his originated place. Yeah. I mean, think about it. He spent 10 years in that organization before he ended up moving to 10 years with the Angels and then they cut his contract. The Dodgers go and pick him up and then goes back. Like, I was happy and excited that he went back to St. Louis because he was reunited with Yachty and Adam Wainwright, and the Cardinals was where it all started. So for him to hit 700 with the Cardinals, like that was like it was meant to be. That was meant to be the moment to happen. So and to be in a class between Barry Bonds and Hank Aaron and Babe Ruth as fourth on that list,
Yeah.
I mean, it's well respected. And again, like when we had the farewell tour this year, I really wished it could have been better because, first of all, you and I, we've watched Albert for years. Like we watched all these guys for years. Like when I grew up, this was what I grew up with. I was
Yeah.
born in 95. The guy came in at
Wait.
2001.
You were born, motherfucker. Okay, now I'm feeling old. I'm
Yeah.
only 10 years older than
And
you.
I literally caught the halfway mark. And that's when it started too, when that whole long ball
All right, first of all, fuck
summer.
you,
Yeah.
making me feel old. Let's just
But
start with that.
but still, it's like you grew with these players. You
Yeah.
saw
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
how impactful that they were, a generation of baseball players. Like you watch Mookie Betts over there giving his applause, and
Yeah.
several other Dodger players, like because all these guys watched them as kids, myself included, and it's like we all watched him, and that's
Yeah.
where I'm just like, I wish the farewell tour would have been so much better than what we got this year, but that there stapled it. Like that was meant to be the moment.
So let's stick with baseball. I want to man this
And we are getting close to postseason.
Yeah, we're starting the playoffs are closing in, man.
Mm-hmm.
I want to add. So let's just say this. I don't think this is the Yankees' year. I don't. I think they're very good.
Yeah.
But I'll say this about that. Right, until they prove me wrong and actually go and win one, I'm not going to believe in that team. Because they're too. The Yankees are a roller coaster, up down, because they live and die on the long ball, and they have for the last 8 seasons. And if they're not hitting home runs, they're not winning games. And at any given moment in the postseason, when you're facing high-end talent pitching, game in and game out, that hitting disappears like that.
Oh yeah.
And you have to rely on small ball to win games. And guess what? I don't know. They did it in the beginning of the season. They were playing small ball, just hitting lasers all over the field and winning games. For some reason, they've gotten away from it. And as long as they live and die on the long ball, forget it. Forget it. They're not going to win. You know what I mean?
The team that they do have to get past, though, is the Houston Astros.
And
that's probably the only thing.
I don't think they have enough to do that. I don't think the Yankees have enough to do that.
No, I agree. I mean, if you got to think about it too, they're probably wishing they had Joey Gallo back because of the fact of whatever it was that he had. He was apparently the secret sauce to the Yankees winning games, despite him having the horrible batting average that he's had for quite some time. But then again, he's no Chris Davis. I mean, we all know how that guy literally is. But yeah, no, John. I mean, that's kind of the thing when you look at postseason baseball and all these teams right now. Because yeah, the Yankees will punch their ticket into the postseason. But I agree with you. It does come to how do they push through the trenches, because you got to trust your pitching staff. You got to trust your offense. I think the only person really that I've always looked at in the Yankees roster that I think is better than a lot of people in the roster besides Aaron Judge is probably DJ LeMahieu, because he's able to spray the ball around.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just have this mentality that they have to literally hit the long ball each time. And it's like, that's not how postseason baseball has always been played.
No, because guess what? You're going to be you see pitching that, guess what? You're not going to hit you're going to be lucky you're going to be lucky in the postseason if pitchers if the top 2 pitchers in a rotation, you're going to be lucky if you see 5 baseballs out of 65 that are left hanging. Good pitchers don't leave hanging curveballs. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
They don't do it. So your opportunity to hit the long ball, you're either going to have to be a outer worldly hitter, or it's just you're you can't live and die on the long ball. You can't play. You can't do that through a postseason. It just doesn't work like that.
So far what we got, and just to kind of read off to everybody here as well, the Yankees, of course, they've clinched the AL East.
Yep.
You have surprisingly the Cleveland Guardians taking the Central, which
Yep.
that's a massive upset between Minnesota and the White Sox.
I didn't see that coming. No.
I didn't see that one coming either. And the fact that it's an inaugural year as being known as the Guardians, like that's interesting. And then clearly Houston, they take the West. And then down in the National League, you've got the Mets, you've got the Braves. They're both kind of fighting for the division crown. And then St. Louis is up there in the Central. Like they literally got past Milwaukee in that division. And then, of course, the Dodgers, you already know, the Dodgers clearly just beat everybody in their division. And they're already 21 games up. So, 100%. And as I said before, the Padres are once again a third place freaking team, dude. Like they always overhype and then they can't do it right.
Well, they can. Here's the thing: the Padres are they never when the lights are the brightest and when the pressure is the highest, they can't perform. We've seen it. How many years have we seen it now? What, 3 in a row, where the pressure gets ratcheted up and they can't handle it, and they can't handle it.
And here's where we got the wild card standing so far because the race being so tight. So in the American League, we got the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Mariners. And the Mariners are up 3 games from the Baltimore Orioles.
Yep.
So that's going to probably be an interesting race. I can't wait to see because, first of all, you can never count out the Rays because the Rays pitching staff, for whatever reason, they just know how to make things work. And they play with such superior small ball because watching Wander Franco and Randy Arozarena and a lot of these guys, they come out of the woodworks for what. And what's funny is, like, since 2008, dude, they've only missed the postseason once.
Yeah,
that is since they've been changed from the Devil Rays to the Rays.
So I was going to ask you this. So who are the underdogs? Who are the underdogs, and who are the spoilers there? Who's gonna be an underdog and make some noise this year?
So lastly, too, because the National League in the wild card, you got the Braves, you got the Phillies, and then you got the Padres. But the Padres are only up 2 games from the Brewers. So that's going to be a little bit of a tight race. But right now, so the teams, I'm just going to say this. The teams that I think that are definitely going to struggle in the postseason the most, one, it's going to be the Phillies. The Phillies are clearly a hot and cold team. And they right now are getting colder and colder by the minute. A lot of Phillies fans could see this. And I have my phone blowing up about Phillies this, Phillies that every single time. And it's the same story every year. The Phillies I kind of see struggling. The Yankees, I think you may be right. They could be at a point where they can make it to the second round and they're just like, they're kind of cold.
If their hitting goes cold, they're done. They're toast.
I think a team I'm kind of concerned about, if they don't do it right. Now, they've been playing well. My concern is the Mets. Because the Mets have they've got a real good pitching staff, but it's how consistent can they be? Because you have to think they're doing this with a lot of pressure on the shoulders. And so that's where I'm kind of seeing it with them. The teams I kind of see that they punch their ticket in, but I don't think have enough is it's either going to be the Brewers or the Padres for that spot. Seattle, I think they're just there to break that drought of not being in the postseason for over 20 years. And I think the Blue Jays at one point. Now, the Blue Jays might be an underdog to me because of the fact of when they get into postseason, they are a completely different team. Now, I get it with the pitching rotation and all the rest of it, but defensively, they're pretty good because of the fact that Matt Chapman and Bo Bichette and you have Vlad Jr., this is probably going to be a team that's going to be sneaky. So I think they're my underrated team. Tampa Bay is clearly my underrated team, and they always they always have been every year. Um, I think another underrated team, depending on it, because of the fact of they're taking that division, is the Cleveland Guardians, dude. I did not see this.
They could surprise people and punch someone in the mouth in the first round that nobody expected. Seriously.
They could, because of the fact that you got that one kid McKenzie,
Mm-hmm.
and then you also have Shane Bieber, who's also been pitching really, really well. But their offense too, which is
Bieber has been surprisingly good. Like I would not have expected that out of him this year.
Oh yeah. And the other part too, since Francisco Lindor has left Cleveland for the Mets,
Yeah.
Jose Ramirez has literally been carrying this team around
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't really get a whole lot of credit and respect that he should. So that offense really does thrive through him. So I think it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I think the Guardians might surprise me. But I do still think my championship predictions, the National League, I think it's going to be the Dodgers and Braves again. Because there is no way you could get past with that amount of talent in Atlanta, dude.
I was just going to say the Braves, it took them a while to really get things going and straight and right that ship. But ever since they made the turn, like ever since the All-Star break, they made the turn and they're playing well, dude. Don't get it twisted. That team, even though they lost Freeman,
Mm-hmm.
they're still a good team. That's still a good young team, and they play hard and they hit.
And you got to think too, because they extended 8 of their young core players. So that means
absolutely.
That means they're relying on Ozzy Albies, Ronald Acuna, Michael Harris II, Austin Riley, and several others that are there on that whole entire roster. And Spencer Strider, dude, like that kid, definitely my vote for Rookie of the Year for sure. Because the fact that he literally plugged himself into a rotation with Max Fried and with and of course with a lot of different young arms that are there. Strider really surprised me. So, but again, it's very, very tough to kind of get past that. But I think that may be a well worth watching 7-game series between the Dodgers and the Braves.
So
the American League.
Yeah.
Hate to say this, but I think the Astros are going to be back in the championship again.
They are. They are. No, they are. They are leaps and bounds ahead of any other team.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Jake, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to Dante a lot. He's an Astro fan and he knows that team inside and out. Bro, their farm system is one of the best in the MLB. So that team and those young kids they're not going away for that team is going to be good for a really long time.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. Oh man, he says Mets are out in the first round. Oh wow.
Honestly, it wouldn't I know it's kind of a hot take, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't.
I could honestly say the Mets could literally be in the second round, in my opinion, because of the fact of like
it all depends on the
matchup. If they play the Phillies, they'll get in the second round.
Once again, it all depends on if they get a bad matchup. I could see it happening, but I don't think from where they're sitting, they're actually going to get. I think the matchup should be favorable for them to get through.
Oh yeah,
now
I honestly do think because it could be Braves Padres.
Yeah.
It could be Mets Phillies. And then I think we could probably see Dodgers Cardinals.
If the Mets play the Phillies, they're going to crush them. That's not even going to be a series.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's where that's an easy pass to the second round. And same too when it comes to the Braves Padres. The Braves
the Padres are going to get smoked by Atlanta if they play.
Oh yeah. And the fact that they acquired Juan Soto and Josh Hader as well, this is
they haven't been able to do anything with it.
Nope, it's been an absolute embarrassment. And if I recall correctly, I think they did say Juan Soto isn't happy there.
No, he hates. He hates it in San Diego.
And I think he possibly too was itching the idea of being a Dodger.
If you put Soto on the Dodgers, that's a stupid team. That is a MLB 2K cheat code team.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I
No,
want to
I
get
agree.
your opinion as an outsider looking in on something, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
The Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts contract deal with the Red Sox is very interesting because if they lose both of them, that's not good. That team is going to be a 60-win team annually if they lose that talent. If
Yeah.
both of those guys don't get because so here's so they let me run it through. This is what I think, and I'll get your. I want to know what you think. I want to know your opinion too.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, the writing on the wall that Xander Bogaerts was leaving was when they signed Trevor Story. Why on earth would you sign a shortstop when you have one? Why?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's no reason. There's no reason to sign Trevor Story unless you know.
Yeah, unless you actually know that he plugs into this lineup well. But I don't think that, yeah, it I honestly do think though that they're probably going to end up letting Bogarts go because you can't afford to lose your corner guy in Rafael Devers because if
That's
he ends
that's
up going, dude, that's yeah.
that was so that was my thing. So I was going to ask you, right? Who would you pick? Would you take the two-time Gold Glove Bogarts, or would you take? So Bogarts is almost 30. I think he's 29,
Mm-hmm.
and Devers is 24. 5 years in the MLB is a lifetime. That is a
Yes.
huge difference. Rafi Devers is 24 years old. But that's so just back to it, right? Like, so my opinion it was that the writing on the wall that Bogarts was gone was when they signed Story.
Yep.
And Story's deal is a way more team. 120 million is better than 250. You know what I mean? So I personally think they're going to let Bogey walk, and they're going to give Rafi Devers the money. I think Devers is staying and Bogarts is walking. Now word came out that Devers wasn't too happy that Bogarts was leaving, and he
Yeah.
basically went to upper management and was like, "Well, that's not too good. What if he's like, I want Bogarts to stay. Your best hitter in your lineup just told you he wants a guy to stay. What do you do?"
Yeah, that's kind of that's literally yeah, that's where your arms are literally tied in that position. But the problem of it is though is that you trade away Trevor Story, that's throwaway money.
Yeah.
Like now you have to try to recover super hard because of the fact that you just gave up that contract.
Mm-hmm.
And
And you're still paying on it too, so you lose out on that.
exactly. Unless because you're not going to grant a 75% contract retention to
No.
anybody else. You're not gonna get anybody to accept that offer. But yeah, that's a hard position to be at because of the fact that he wants Bogarts to stay. But the fact of the matter is though is that like to me like anybody would. The fact he's coming up close to 30, we don't know how much more of his production levels he still has.
It's going to stay elite. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll stay elite. And Devers, he's only 24 years old. You're going to see the best out of him. But to, like I said, lose that hot corner, not going to look good for Boston because they
No.
don't have anybody else in mind to really shut down that corner. And because
And let's
my
be
biggest
honest,
thing
Devers'
is
defensive play has gotten better over the last 2 or 3 seasons.
it
It's
really
gotten better.
has. It really has. And that's why I think that would be a mistake for Boston if they literally do play nothing or they take Bogarts over Devers, and then that happens. Like I don't know, dude. I mean, I honestly do believe that you re-sign Devers because of the fact that he's still young and he can still produce. Moving Trevor Story to shortstop, but then who do you have up at second base? I mean,
But they couldn't even
that's kind
offer
of hard to
Devers a
say.
6 or 8 year deal because at 8 years he would only be 32, which is
Yep.
still in a hitter's prime. You're still in your prime. You could get
Mhm.
another contract. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you'll still be in a hitter's prime. So yeah, that's going to be tough. I truthfully think that you extend Devers, but if nothing goes as planned, man, I mean, you are. I already know how you're going to feel about this. You're going to write off
You
the
lose.
Red Sox for years,
You
man,
lose either
because
way.
it's like,
You know what I mean? Either you lose Bogarts, who's a 2-time Gold Glove guy and who's versatile as all hell. You know,
or you'll get double
or
whammied.
yeah, or you lose literally one of the best hitters in the game today in Rafi Devers. So it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's either way they lose. Either way they lose.
yeah.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Hmm. No, I agree. That's why I'm like,
So the playoffs are going to be awesome, man. I love September, October baseball. It's anything can happen, man.
oh, there's
Anything.
nothing like it, man.
Yeah.
That's what we glue our eyes to because we got plenty of time for the NFL. We got plenty
Yeah.
of time for that. But postseason baseball is the most exciting there is.
It's 1 month. You get
Mhm.
you get October of, it's 1 month it's one whole month of the highest level baseball being played, which
And
is
I'll take that.
yeah, no, absolutely 100%. So let's move on to some basketball here to the NBA. I think you already know what I'm gonna what we're gonna talk about here. Ime Udoka and the Celtics. Ime had himself an interesting couple of days.
Yeah.
Uh, he gets kind of outed there for an affair with a female staffer, and it has been incredibly messy to say the least. I think there's a lot of I think nobody really knows the truth about what really went down. I think the Celtics had a vague idea of what went down because they either Ime or the female staffer told them or something. There's a lot of vague details. I don't think anybody really knows what really happened. I think they at one point they probably told the Celtics so they wouldn't get or so they would probably not get outed and hosed, and hosed for what they were doing. But my opinion, stupid decision.
Oh yeah.
Stupid decision.
Hmm. No, I agree.
You
That
idiot. And Ime was such a dude. Let's be honest, right? Ime was a massive part of the reason why the Celtics went as far as they did. Without Ime Udoka, do the Celtics make the finals? No, that's a
no.
hard no. Without Ime Udoka coaching that team, they in no way should. They're out in the first or second round.
Oh yeah. They would be clearly done. And the
Yeah,
worst part of it is that would be a year wasted with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Like that, yeah.
I mean, and I'm not like I don't like to be doom and gloom. I don't like that, but I'm saying 35 to 45 wins with the
Mhm.
assistant coach now. And this at being 2 weeks from the season, 2.5 weeks from the start of the season, and you replace your coach? Come on, man. 35 to 45 wins. Ime was a massive part of why. And to be honest, if I'm the players, I'm kind of pissed at him for making that stupid decision. It's like, bro, you just
No,
screwed
yeah,
everybody.
I
You
would feel the
screwed
same way.
everybody. What are we
I
gonna
would,
do without you now?
right. I would feel the same way as the players do, dude. Because yeah, that's the leader of your clubhouse. That's the one person that you lean towards when it comes to situational play. And again, this is why we have these policies in every single workplace. This is why, for this kind of reason.
Yeah.
And Ime Aduka, like there was so much upside potential for the Boston Celtics. Like they would be in good hands because they hadn't had something like this since the Doc Rivers era. And the fact that
Since they went to the championship, they haven't been this good.
yeah, and the fact of the matter is because like you look at it, Brad Stevens is such a smart guy, and he taking the step back and then being in the front offices of the Celtics. He wants to build this where this future is secure. And
Yeah.
with this happening now, Amia Duca literally just rolls the
Dude, if I'm
dice,
the
plays
players,
with
if I'm Tatum and Brown, I'm pissed at this.
Oh yeah, I'd be very pissed off as well. And the fact is too, because you lost Robert Williams now with the injury, which he'll be
Dude,
back at,
8 to 12 weeks. What's that? 20 games? 8 to 12
about.
weeks? That's
Yep.
20 games. The
Yeah.
first quarter of the season, they don't have them.
Yeah, this is not going to look good at all for the Celtics, and it's not a great look. And I think that's why the ownership they literally did what they did. Now, Aduka, of course, did mention about the possibility of just resigning because one, he knows he made a massive mistake. He knows the players are very much going to retaliate against him, and there's just a lot of pressure that's there upon his shoulders. The last thing you want to do is really just kind of cut open more of the wound that has already been put on this Celtics organization.
So
So
let's be honest,
yeah,
right? Let's just say I just want to say one. I don't mean to interrupt you. Here. The these NBA these professional sports organizations have there's two courts in this situation that are affected. Obviously, the legislative and the judicial stuff. You know what I mean?
yep,
But these professional sports organizations have enough money to make legislative stuff go away. You know,
mm-hmm.
it can go away. They'll
Yep.
give them money, they pay the bonds or whatever it is, and it goes away. The court of
Mm-hmm.
public opinion, that can sink a franchise faster than anything. You
Yes, it
look
can.
bad in your fans' eyes. Not good.
Yep.
Not good.
I
And this
mean,
is
the
a
Phoenix
terrible.
Suns are going through this now.
You know what I mean? From the outside looking in, anybody looking at this Ime Udoka situation is going, what the hell? You know, this is a bad look for Ime, for the Celtics, for the league. It's in the court of public opinion. This is why the Celtics are doing what they're doing, because they look like fools right now.
Yeah, they just it just makes the entire, especially with them being a historic franchise, it just makes them look bad. Like it's an absolute just bad look for them. But yeah, I mean, you think about it too. I mean, the Phoenix Suns, Robert Sarver, now he's selling the team. He's selling both the Mercury and the Suns.
Yeah,
Like, and because it's a bad look, because of the fact that you as the owner, you then have this kind of character and you have this kind of personality about you. People are not gonna roll for that.
no,
And which is why it's like you feel so much for the players. Like Chris Paul is absolutely disappointed. So would, I mean, Devin Booker's Devin Booker, but Chris Paul, of all people, who's been in this league long enough and seeing this happening, because this kind of sucks because this is a double whammy for Chris Paul because
yeah,
he dealt with Donald Sterling in Los Angeles with the Clippers, and now he's dealing with Robert Sarver.
yeah.
There is nobody who understands this more than Chris Paul. Like
Like this,
for him to happen to this twice in his career is
yeah.
ridiculous.
Like if I'm like, and think about this, right? Jaylen Brown and Tatum's contracts are up soon. Like next
Yes.
year and the year after that, they're up. If let's say they have a terrible year, let's say the Celtics have a terrible year,
Yeah.
which is an absolute possibility that it happens. They're gonna leave. They're gonna be like, we ain't going through this.
Yep.
Especially
this is a bad time.
if Ime gets fired, right? If Udoka gets fired and he's no longer associated with the Celtics,
Yep.
that could drive Tatum and Brown away and be like, you know what? Like we were here because Ime was an excellent coach, and you know what I mean? Like they were here, they liked it here because of him. They liked his style, they liked the way he did it. Like if they leave, take Tatum and Brown off the Celtics. What are you left with? Nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're in trouble if that happens, big time.
Yeah, they're in massive trouble. But yeah, I agree. I just think that this is just, it's literally like a domino effect right now for the Celtics, because the fact that Udoka causes this, and then it now becomes worse because Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum don't even want to be a part of all that, and they're going to want out of Boston. And then now it just kind of sucks because Boston now is kind of looked at as this organization that, I mean, like I said, we've seen the Donald Sterlings, we've seen the Robert Sarvers, and now with this happening, this isn't good. This really isn't good. And then the
No, it's a
chances of
terrible
even
look.
bringing a championship back to Boston, like, could be years, and years away
It's
now.
not going to be this season.
Oh, hell no! And this is the worst time to do it with especially those contracts being close to being up.
With the contracts being close and the talent you have, like this was just, and you wait till 2 weeks before the season to like pull something. Like, come on, man! Like this is on Ime, dude. Like stupid decision. Like
Yeah,
you. And this woman had like supposedly, if the reports are true, and this woman had ties with the VP or with VPs or high ranking officials within the Celtics, what in the hell did you think was going to happen?
right.
You're sleeping with a girlfriend or a wife of a high ranking official in the Celtics. Like, what in the hell did you think was going to like?
And you were engaged, and now that engagement's
But
off.
that's what I'm
And then,
talking about.
yeah,
What in the hell did you think was going to happen? Like, did you
yeah,
think he was just going to be able to get away with this and get away scot free, like without the dude? This was a massive screw up on
yeah.
his part.
Oh yeah.
Now,
This was,
did maybe the Celtics overreact a little bit with the year-long suspension? You could argue
no.
that. You could, I mean, the people can, I mean, I could see like it's a bad look. Like there's points to be argued on either side, but you cannot argue the fact that it was a horrible, shitty, like bad overall. This, like, you made everybody look bad in this.
Yep.
There's points to be argued on either side, but overall, bad, stupid decision.
Yeah. This.
The fact that so what if it was if you're a part of the overreaction crowd, he still made the decision. Like, just don't do anything dumb like that.
Could you have?
Don't shit where you eat.
Yeah.
Period.
Could you imagine how? Because if Bill Russell did not end up turning into his grave this fast, could you imagine what he would have felt knowing this news, especially as Mr. Celtic himself? I mean, I kind of already see how Larry Bird would feel, but
Bird didn't like it at all. He was like,
"What?" Not.
He didn't like it at all. He's like, "This is a horrible look."
Yeah. Yeah.
Ime put the entire organization. He put himself over everybody, over the players, over the organization, over the everyone, and
yeah,
the Celtics went from a contender to a bottom 16, bottom 18.
Yeah,
if everything, that seriously, it's I don't.
It's completely embarrassing.
Yeah, it's it's a bad look. Everybody looks bad. Everybody looks bad, and the players, I would imagine, are pissed at this.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's all we got for you. Somebody asked, okay, so before we take off, Jake, someone asked a wicked good question in the chat from earlier. If the Patriots win a Super Bowl this season, is it Bill Belichick's biggest upset? Yes.
Yes, it is.
100%. Absolutely. If he wins the Super Bowl this year with the talent that's out there and the teams that he has to mow through to get there and win, biggest upset of his career. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Plus, too, that'll also stamp the fact that, like, Tom have won a Super Bowl without him, and then here comes Bill and he wins one without him.
You think he shoots snot rockets at the media now? Just wait if he wins a Super Bowl in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah.
He might as well just give the middle finger and walk off the stage at the press conferences.
Pretty much.
But it's just that would solidify the deal if Bill wins a Super Bowl in the next couple seasons, it would solidify the deal that it was a sum of their parts. It was a sum of their parts. Brady and Bill were who they were because of the sum of their parts, because of each other.
No, I agree.
But I think that's all me and Jake forgot. That's a dirt. Can't talk dirt. That's all me and Jake got for y'all for this episode 32 in the books. Once again, Jake going to be a permanent resident here on the Down the Pike podcast. And we thank him for his efforts and time, obviously. And if you don't have my dude as, if you're not subscribed to Jake to the Snake Sports Talk Show. Jake, can you throw your link in the chat before we take off?
Yeah, definitely. So wherever you guys can end up finding me, I'm all over YouTube,
He's on
Facebook,
social media
Twitter,
too, right?
Twitch.
You have
Yep.
Twitter and you're all over social media, right?
Yep, I'm all over social media. But of course, we're definitely trying to get my
YouTube up.
my YouTube up for sure. But here we go. Let me see.
And I'm gonna I'm gonna put his link in the description of this video, guys, after we get done with the broadcast. So you can go and give him a subscription. But we are hold on, there we go. All right. Let's do this and that. All right, that is my guy's link. Please go and hit that up, guys, and give my guy a subscription. He's going to be working with us, and me and JD are definitely glad to have him and excited that he's a part of the deal now.
Yes.
But we appreciate it, guys. Once again, let's try and get Jake's numbers up there. His knowledge of overall sports is incredible. I tend to stick to my little niche here in Boston because fuck everything else. But Jake's overall knowledge of any of the professional sports is top notch.
Oh yeah, man.
That's all we got for you guys today. Jake, the Chargers game going to be interesting. Definitely to watch. Lots of good college games on today too. I'm going to sit back and enjoy and
man, we got a stacked one too today, man.
Yeah,
like these are going to be really, really good. I'm interested to see at least a couple of these real good ones we got today.
Absolutely. No, we got a good weekend of sports on tap. But thanks again, guys. Me and Jake appreciate it. For everybody involved with the Down the Pike podcast, Jake, myself, JD, we appreciate y'all. We thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one. Jake, you got any last words?
All I could say is bolt up and let's see if we can get that win against the Jags, man.
Absolutely. Go Pats, go Bolts, and we will catch all of y'all next time. Fuck the Yankees. We're out of here.